Hello everyone. During this opportunity, we will be presenting our ILP in parentheses Integrated Learning Project presentation, which talks about Malaysia claiming Indonesian batik as a part of their culture. Beforehand, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nurganya Khairunisa Santoso, commonly called as Anya, absent number 3.
I would also like to introduce myself. My name is Joshua Robert Kunirwan, commonly called as Joshua, absent number 16, and we are both from the 12th grade social class. And we will start the presentation by starting off with the background of the issue. My friend Anya will give further explanation in this slide.
As we all know, due to globalization and many other factors, Indonesian millennials' fashion trends evolves from time to time. However, sadly, due to this immense global change, most of the Indonesian millennial generation have forgotten their own culture, believing that the foreign culture is more sophisticated than their own. In this matter, we are talking about the batik culture.
Since most Indonesians tend to forget about batik as their culture, Malaysia used this opportunity to claim batik as their very own culture back in 2021. This definitely gives a huge impact to Indonesia, since batik is an important part of our culture.
The reason on why we chose this issue is to raise awareness amongst Indonesian millennial generation, since they are the generation that has the power and ability to carry batik culture proudly as an important key element and asset to our cultural heritage. The main aim of this project is to raise nationalism within the scope of batik culture amongst the Indonesian millennial generation.
With the increasing sense of nationalism towards batik, it will automatically increase Indonesian millennials' interest in buying and using batik. And this is a positive opportunity and impact for the batik traders and sellers.
As we all know, Indonesia is a country rich in ethnic diversity, religion, race, and customs. However, we oftentimes neglect the importance of Indonesian culture. Batik is a culture that is worn on various occasions by individuals, institutions, and social-cultural groups that represents the Indonesian culture. Hence, batik may be considered as a unifying medium or as a site for Indonesian people to present their national identity. Therefore, this is such an important culture that must be developed, maintained, preserved, and protected from threats such as countries who intend to harm it, in this case, claiming batik as its own culture.
On the next slide, I will be explaining the case of Malaysia claiming batik as a part of their culture. Their last claiming of batik as a part of their culture was in 2021. This World Malaysia claimed the batik motif as a Malaysia cultural heritage. However, the Indonesian government then took a countermeasure by registering batik motif to the UNESCO. The dispute ended through an apology from Malaysia. Moving on the next slide, my friend Anya will give further explanation about the theoretical framework.
The variables used for the theoretical framework are an integration of 4 social science lessons, which includes geography, sociology, history, and economy. Firstly, we will be going through the scope of geography. We tried to associate our topic and issue using the geography principles. There are 4 geography principles in total. First, we have the distribution principle, which is the natural arrangement of various forms of batik motifs and materials in different regions and localities of Indonesia.
Second, we have description principle, which explain moreover about the spread of batik material, which information released on graphic, data, or even map.
Third, we have interrelation principle, which mainly associates an interrelated relationship between one phenomenon and another geographical phenomenon in one scope. In this case, we associated the phenomenon of globalization and how this global phenomenon impacts the decreasing of Indonesian millennials generation's nationalism in using batik.
Last but not least, we have chronology principle. The chronology principle focuses with the migration and areas of the distribution of the product. Well, in this case, batik. The chronology principle used for this case focus more on the interaction of the batik trader and seller with the customer and buyer.
Moving on to the next lesson, we will be going through the scope of sociology. Since we are all experiencing a global phenomenon called globalization, we associated and analyzed the impacts of globalization towards Indonesian millennial generation's nationalism to the batik culture. Globalization is an inevitable global phenomenon that has both positive and negative impacts. Although Western clothing or style has entered through globalization, batik culture is a heritage that shouldn't fade away as it is a commodity which preserves Indonesian culture. For now, batik is widely worn by Indonesian millennial generation because of its various motifs that carries Indonesian cultural values.
Next, we will be going through the scope of history lesson. We associate our topic with periodization. Periodization is basically an act or instance of dividing a subject into historical eras for purpose of analysis and study through a chronological order. In the past, batik could be only worn by the kingdom or the royal family. Regular people weren't allowed to use batik back then. But now, as time progressed followed by numerous changes, batik can be used by all circles and society. Hence, this phenomenon can be categorized as periodization in history.
Last but not least, we will be going through the scope of economy. We try to associate our topic and issue using the modern economic problems. There are 3 modern economic problems in total. First, we have in parentheses what? What products and services are produced and how much product will there be? Well, in this case, we will be producing batik products, which includes clothes, bag, accessories, etc.
Second, we have in parentheses how do we produce our product? Well, in this case, we will be producing our batik product by buying raw material, batik fabric, from the market and our local batik traders, and then making them into a batik product such as clothing, bags, and accessories.
Last but not least, we have in parentheses for whom. For whom are the products produced to? Which class, age, or maybe even gender? Well, in this case, we prefer our main target consumer for our batik products to be the Indonesian millennial generation. Since we have stated it in the start, our main goal in this is to increase Indonesian millennial generation's nationalism and enhance their love towards batik culture, as it is our identity and it is a masterpiece and art which has deepest philosophies on every pattern drawn. Moving on to the next slide, my friend Joshua will give further explanation about our solutions in overcoming the economical issue from the scope of modern economic problems.
Firstly, for the what issue, we recommend introducing the batik product in the form of batik fabric and some batik accessories such as bag and bracelet that can be used by Indonesian millennial generation and sold by batik trader and seller. In our opinion, it will be beneficial for their living income to fulfill their daily needs.
Second, for the how issue, we'd recommend producing the products using 2 ways, namely the traditional and the modern methods. To make the batik and fabric, or even accessories, we may use a chanting as a traditional method, and for the modern method, we may use the machine tools such as batik chop or using a printer to print out the batik fabric. Making batik products using these methods will attract more Indonesian millennial consumers, and it will be beneficial for the batik traders and sellers as well as the Indonesian millennial consumers, because batik is a product of culture and we all know it is not only a cultural heritage but it also provides livelihood for millions of people of Indonesia. Well, in this matter, the batik traders and sellers.
Last but not least, for the for whom issue, we recommend that the batik product can be produced for both Indonesian millennials as well as a batik trader and seller, as this product can be resolved. By making both the modern and traditional batik product, this will be a key element in pursuit and attracting more consumers and buyers, as they would wear batik product proudly and as a proud Indonesian millennial generation.
That is all from us today. Hopefully this presentation would do. Thank you all for your time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.